Let's go back a little bit about perceived safety, social acceptance, and blah, 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 all these very important things, but non-engineering talk that we've been having right now. So, the other way around, people. ImAFUSA, great description, you heard about it, I'll skip that one. We have talked a lot about innovative mobility, urban mobility, advanced mobility, integrated mobility, all these are mobilities. Probably all of you have definition, different definition, same definition we'll see in a moment. Safety and public acceptance, who has done what before we started, and basically how we started this project, and then a few initial results from ImAFUSA and conclusions. So, that's what ImAFUSA stands for. We have three parts, three objectives: environmental impact, safety impact, and socioeconomic impact. I'm going to talk about safety. Now, IAM, innovative mobility, UAM, urban mobility, AAM, advanced mobility, EASA, FFA. Now, to the common public, they mean one and all. Drones, eVTOLs, big buses over our head going to disrupt our way of life. Some like it, some don't. I live in Sweden, I can guarantee you they won't like it because they like their world peaceful and quiet. Big things, not happy. Although they tried a last mile delivery in a supposedly very quiet area, great reviews because it was a socio-economic, rich people, part that could really, really benefit from not having to take the car, the ferry, to get to the supermarket for a carton of milk. Now, everybody else, probably different opinion. So all of them may mean the same thing. All of them, or at least most of them, talk about safe, security, sustainability. FAA defines it, advanced mobility, as the bigger umbrella under which these two, for example, fall under. Repetition. So, what has been done by the agencies? EASA gave a definition. Safety mainly refers to incidents resulting from a technical or human failure. Either drones falls because it's at one, or the user crashes into something or someone. Key thing, our point of safety is not about human error or failure, it's about how do we feel, how can people? The point is, are we going to accept this kind of environment? Perception of safety can be increased if safety levels are increased. No joke, easy one. And the thing is that if you say, oh, they're not going to be any accidents, they're not going to like it. The point is, when you get older, that statement doesn't really apply anymore. Maybe because you get older, you're starting a family, your perspective on life changes, your acceptance of new technology changes. But also, when we talk about safety, people assume automatically drones equal aircraft. Big mistake. So they can inflate or change their perception of safety based on the fact that despite recent events, aviation is one of the safest modes of transport as it stands in terms of number of crashes and number of victims per overall environment. Now, the KTH is part of SARC, the Swedish Aerospace Center, and thanks to that, we're part of the International Forum for Aeronautical Research, IFAR. They belong to that one too. So we get access to the working group of IAM, to a lot of different presentations from around the world. Now, the Korean Urban Mobility Act started talking about safety, sustainability, acceptability, bit of a trend everywhere else. And the point I realized that they started with the current Safety Aviation Act. What is safe under Korean law? And they realized that, lo and behold, they don't necessarily apply to urban mobility because right now we go from combusting engine, kerosene, to batteries. There is no law, there is no safety and certification for a large-scale electric aircraft. Or you have with the drones and two-seaters, what they call the pipistrel from Slovenia. So there are a lot of concerns from operational and technical point of view. Keywords, operation and technical. Again, people are not really part of this equation. Others, NLR, DLR, they've all done these kind of studies. In Europe, acceptance of these kind of environments, it's a lot more emphasized than, for example, the US, where the first point is technology, money, they'll deal with it, we go technology, let's see if they're interested in it, and then we see if we can make money out of it, usually the last part is. So a lot of people looked at a lot of different things, and that's where we come through. There are inhibitors for this. Legal, political, environmental, psychological, socioeconomic. There is key factors: safety, visual pollution, acoustic pollution, privacy, technology misuse. Some of these we've heard before. Socioeconomic, we talked about noise, where are you there? We talked about visual pollution, that's Sophia, who's not here right now. Technology misuse, it's something that, this is from prior literature, came up quite often, ironically, in countries like the US, where they assume right away that, okay, they're spying on us, or, part of South America, are they using that particular type of new technology, for example, carrying illegal drugs? So different countries, different perspective. That's why it's very important we do it in Europe through safety perception, because despite being one highly dysfunctional family of 27 cultures and 27 more or less languages, we all have a different view on these things. We all have different acceptance levels. We all have different ways of interpreting new technology. So, this is ImAFUSA working on it, and of course, that's us, that's at KTH. So, the point is how at KTH and through ImAFUSA we can go away from the Gallic concept of the sky is going to fly over our head. If you guys have read Asterix, you know where that is from. If you have not, pick one up. Now, the objective of ImAFUSA is to establish a correlation between parameters of drone usage influencing the perception of safety by the public. Again, we're not looking of the likelihood of something flying into a building or falling over our head or having an accident. It's about how do we actually experience this new environment. We have different indicators: flight velocity, path altitude, proximity to building, flight structure. We call the concept of highway of drones. They follow a single route, which could be structured, straight lines. It could be unstructured, so there is crazy, wavy type of flight. And more or less, people looking up, building, drone, how do they look, how do they feel? This is what eventually we came up with. The virtual environment was built by our partners in Lisbon, ISTE. Sofia Calacolò and her team built the virtual environment. We provided to them actually 42 cases, which we then wrote it down to 24, and they said, well, we can give you 4. Realistically speaking, yes, that's all they could do, because it took take so much time to actually prepare one environment. And as we found out through the surveys, it takes a lot more time than originally expected to go through only 65 out of the 200 we need to do surveys when you're spending 45 minutes on each participant. So we varied 2 things really. We varied velocities, 23 meters per second, 15 and 7, and then we varied height. Well, we have an average height of 70 meters plus 10 plus 20, or 20 meters plus 10 plus 20. The color coding means the lines over there. And they were based on the current drone legislation, so the C3, C4, the 27 kilogram drone, the big ones. It doesn't work. I have no video. That's what's supposed to look like when you put the VR goggles on, there's things buzzing around your head. So correlates the two. Now, our preliminary results. Let's go down. First, we looked at participant demographics. It makes sense. We want to know who's taking our survey, who's doing the exercise. We have age, we have gender, we have education. And because we are at KTH, we're running this within the university, of course, the 18, 24, 25, 34 are students and researchers are the bigger chunk. You would not believe how difficult it is to get admin staff to take part in these things. Anybody over the age of 34 means faculty and admin, no chance. Demographics, it's an engineering university. So 60-40, 70-30, more or less is what we get, okay? And actually, this is not the most updated. I got one person over 65. Very cool, but I couldn't follow up with the second one, so he's out of the data because one case, not statistics. And then, of course, the demographic education, because of who we are, tends to be on the more highly educated environment. Also, we didn't run the survey to anybody under the age of 18 for legal reasons. That meant having their parents' consent, which meant having a lot more paperwork. And then we also looked at how familiar they are with drones and VR, because we asked ourselves the question, what if we have someone who's a heavy user of drones, either for amusement, playing around with drones, or because they work with them in their research. Will their perspective change when they see this environment? 1 minute? You kidding me? And then familiarity with VR. So, ongoing analysis. What do we have is velocity, drone variation. Basically, doesn't make any difference. They feel safe, mostly safe. Drone to observer distance. Height doesn't make much difference. So anything over the now acknowledged height of a drone, which is 20, 30 meters in urban environment, and they don't care. And also we want to figure out whether a correlation between them feeling safe and thinking that the drone is too close to them. We're still working on that cross-relation of data because, as you can see, very few feel strongly unsafe, but a few more think they're too close. So we're trying to figure out how that perception changes. We also looked at drone to building distance, very much affected from where they're looking, straight, around, at the building, from below, from high, and also path direction. We never defined in the question what path direction meant, whether it was same direction or opposite direction. People interpreted opposite direction like a two-way street along the same line, or they had opposite direction as one set of two-way streets, one set of two-way streets crossing each other. We left it open because we wanted to see how they interpret this and what kind of information we got out of it. And that's basically the conclusions, and I stay within the time, rushing through it. There's a lot of more, the data that we have, despite only 65 people out of the 20 we're supposed to do, it gave us a lot of information. Interestingly, we are following the same concept in terms of results. People feel safe all around. The literature showed that. What we have noticed is that some people literally not experience an actual flyby, where a VR concept said that, oh, a drone can be as low as, head high. Okay, I'm 180, that's quite short. We think that's not going to be the same thing once you have about 100 of them over your head, because these kind of questions, they were asked on a paper survey. People had we think, a difficulty in really interpreting what it meant to having 25 meters per second. That's about 70 somewhat more kilometers an hour, drone flying over your head. And they don't actually see them because they see the drones. They look down, they see the shadows slipping by. And that's what actually scared them more than the drone itself flying over their head in our actual surveys. And I'm within 15 minutes.
Okay.
Questions?
Well done. One quick question for Raffaello.
Not from me. Yes, please.
Yeah, so thanks for the presentation. So you have done some qualitative analysis of...
Sorry,
So there's this, you've shown qualitative perceptions of public safety. Is there also, within the project, any attempts to make it quantitative, like equations that we can plug in?
Yes, of course, I forgot to mention. So this is a fraction of what ImAFUSA is. What we got out of that one, we did not have enough cases, for example, in height or in velocity, although 2, not statistics, 3 it is, to actually come up with a full equation. But what we provided Milan and his team with this fancy simulation he did was limit parameters. Above that, below that. So that will give us an initial frame. TRL 0 and 1 is what Anna mentioned, so giving an idea of what it is. Now, more time, more everything, you know how it works. We have 48 cases, we have 1,000 people, then you have a long regression model to add to there. So this could be seen as an initial step in understanding what are people going to accept when it comes to safety. And it's not about related to, is the drone going to stop fast enough? It's really about, how do I perceive having these drones over my head? And we have actually run the demographics afterwards. The question was, would you be okay to feel unsafe if you knew that the drone flying over your head is following the exact regulation established by, for example, EASA or regulating agencies? And surprisingly, people says, yes, I would, because I know they're following the rules. But somebody mentioned educating people. You need to know that there are rules and what the rules are. We accept that aviation has rules and we trust them because they've been there forever. So it's a lot about the communication part of this project rather than the actual hard data.
Okay, let's thank.
I want two more things, 30 seconds, promise.
Okay.
First of all, I want to say thank you to all our partners in ImAFUSA, because I'm pretty sure that at some point you wonder whether we were clueless about the project, and we weren't, because I'm an aerospace engineer and experimental analyst of aircraft, and I know what this was all about, and Rodolfo is a robotics engineer. So we were learning this thing as it was going through. We were not trying to be pains in the butt. And also to make you obsolete, unfortunately you obsolete, and you obsolete, the chronoplans are under maritime law. No safety checks, no sea airports. And now it's your turn.